Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Mass Effect video. Today we're debating if the next Mass Effect game is going to be titled Mass Effect 4, Mass Effect 5 or something new entirely. So let's get right into it.
Lockhart QT.
So firstly, I'm going to start off with the sort of pros and cons for Mass Effect 4. So firstly, the first piece of evidence we have for Mass Effect 4 is Liara in the trailer. Obviously, Liara is directly connected to the old trilogy, so this could be a direct continuation of Mass Effect 3, meaning that it would be titled Mass Effect 4, meaning that Bioware would essentially forget Andromeda and have it be its own separate entity, and then just carry on just with the numbered titles. If they were going to do a next trilogy, then it would be Mass Effect 4, 5, 6 in that order. However, the next piece of evidence we have is the date on the N7 secret transmission, which also has Liara in it, which also has an unknown Geth character in it, which also has potentially Commander Shepard in it. And obviously none of that's been confirmed. The only two things that have been confirmed by Bioware themselves is that yes, Liara is in it, and yes, an unknown Geth character is in it. So there you go. And the date on the trailer potentially reads 2190, which is right after the events of Mass Effect 3. And if we're going off this date, it could be potentially 5 or 10 years, as in set after Mass Effect 3. So if the next game is set right after Mass Effect 3, again it makes perfect sense just calling it Mass Effect 4 as a direct continuation. Next up, I'm going over the pros and cons for Mass Effect 5. Now, internally as well as externally, so I mean sort of fans, journalists, etc., if you go back to older posts before the game was called Mass Effect Andromeda, people were calling it Mass Effect 4. And again, I guess this is a piece of evidence to show that Bioware may want to call it Mass Effect 5 because maybe internally they do treat Andromeda as Mass Effect 4. The next piece of evidence that it could be Mass Effect 5 rather than Mass Effect 4 is that just sheerly there's been loads of evidence to suggest that potentially in the next game it will be set in the far-flung future, and it will be essentially the worlds of Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect Andromeda colliding, with somehow explaining travel between both the Milky Way galaxy and Andromeda. We've got loads of evidence in the teaser trailer, basically building up to it. People were tweeting at Bioware devs saying, hang on, there's loads of Mass Effect Andromeda references here, because obviously Andromeda isn't as well beloved as the original trilogy, so Bioware may want to sort of forget that it happened entirely and sort of just focus on the original trilogy and carry on with Mass Effect 4. However, still, Andromeda wasn't that bad. It did have its merits, a combat system, the overall gameplay, etc. However, it was let down by extremely rough launch, extremely rough characters, and an extremely rough story, which is unusual for Bioware. But hopefully, if it is called Mass Effect 5, it may just be a continuation of Mass Effect 3, but it may be called Mass Effect 5 due to the fact that Andromeda is technically Mass Effect 4. However, most people, such as myself and other fans in my comment section, have even brought up the fact that it may not even be called Mass Effect 4, Mass Effect 5. We've seen a trend in both general media as well as gaming that they've sort of been steering away from numbered titles. For example, Halo is a really good example for this. You had Halo 3, then obviously Reach and ODST were more spin-offs, and then you had Halo 4, Halo 5, and then it transitions from Halo 5 Guardians to Halo Infinite. So Mass Effect could be doing the same thing, where obviously you've got Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, Andromeda, and then the next game could have its own subtitle. I have no idea what the subtitle would be. I can't even sort of come up with it. It could be how Dragon Age do it. For example, Dragon Age usually subtitles their games depending on who the main character is, so the next Mass Effect game could do something similar, where the new subtitle basically tells us who the main protagonist is and who we're playing as, because remember guys, we may not be playing as Commander Shepard. We'll have to wait and see. We could have a dark future where we play as Sam or Sarah Ryder again for Mass Effect Andromeda, so I'm not really too sure. I'm joking, I genuinely don't think. I do not think the next game is going to be Mass Effect Andromeda 2. I think that would be sort of self-suicide for this game's marketing. I think Bioware will... I don't think they'll fully forget Andromeda, but I think they will majorly push on the original trilogy. Another thing that I think that they will push on the original trilogy is that with all the recent marketing with Bioware, they haven't really bought up Andromeda once. The original trilogy, they also bought out the Legendary Edition, they bought out some new comics, some new material. Obviously the Bioware store is getting loads and loads of new sort of items based on the old trilogy, and Mass Effect Andromeda has sort of just been left in the dust, which is unfortunate. Again, I played the game, I didn't think it was that bad, but obviously I didn't play it at launch, to be fair, so I didn't pre-order the game and wait for it for years, because I only really got into Mass Effect sort of going 2018, 2019, so yeah. Anyway guys, just in conclusion, obviously you have Mass Effect 4, 5 or a new subtitle. Personally, I do think it's going to be a new subtitle. I don't think it's going to be 4 or 5. However, the last piece of evidence that we have that I wanted to wait until last to bring up, because I think this is the most compelling out of everything. In one of the N7 day concept arts, on the buildings, I think it's on 2 buildings, you can essentially see that it says SFX5, and another building straight up has 5 on it. Also, in I think it's one of the trailer's metadata, it straight up says I think it's either Mass Effect 5 or SFX 5. So that's kind of a clear indication that Bioware are at least internally calling this game Mass Effect 5, which makes sense because, as I said, it is the 5th main game in the series, as in numbered. Anyway guys, tell me in the comments, what do you guys think? Do you think it's going to be called Mass Effect 4, Mass Effect 5, a new subtitle, or God forbid Mass Effect Andromeda 2, which I really hope it's not, but I think it would be kind of funny from a content creator and a fan standpoint if it was Andromeda 2. Could you imagine the absolute carnage that would come from that? But oh god, could you imagine if they came out with an Andromeda 2 and then the facial animations were just like either worse or exactly the same? That would just be mind-blowing. Anyway guys, thank you so much as well for the recent love on the channel and the Mass Effect videos. I love Mass Effect and I can't wait to make more videos. I just can't wait for the new game, really. I need Bioware to drop that title now so I can actually start putting it properly, because I keep flip-flopping between Mass Effect 4 and 5 in my video titles. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.